What's up, Steelers fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Burgh. We're here to do a quick live preview show of the Steelers-Chiefs game that'll be kicking off momentarily. I'm your host, Mitchell Wolf, here with my co-host, Shayne Kubis. Shayne, how you doing tonight?
Well, luckily, like Ben said, there's no pressure on us, right? I mean, we're just kind of here to
We're
I
two
guess,
touchdown
hopefully
underdogs.
enjoy.
There's no way we're going to win. We're here to have
Right,
fun.
Exactly. I mean,
like
I
him, we are
it
just
is
here to
fun.
have fun. Yeah,
we just want to have some fun. So hopefully, regardless of how the game goes, I just hope that it's at least somewhat fun to watch. So.
Exactly. And honestly, for the vast majority of this playoff bracket so far has been pretty fun, and like even in different ways, like the Pats getting blown out by the greatest offensive performance by any offense in history was pretty cool to watch. We just saw the end of the Cowboys 49ers game. That was pretty, it was a weird game because it was close, but it was a slogfest. Like, nobody was really doing things well.
I don't know. Like the Cowboys, they definitely did a good job getting back in it, but they really killed themselves, right?
With their defense made a lot of plays to give the offense a shot. So I'll give them that.
And Jimmy G just isn't it, man. Like
who I mean, they don't have the bracket up anymore, but who did they play? They'll be the low seed, so they would play the Packers.
Yeah, they're playing the Packers,
which is very interesting considering.
Yeah, I mean, last time these teams played each other, so even in the regular season, but
yeah. But let's get to the Steelers specific news before this game begins. So obviously, big news. Juju's off the injured reserve. I'm wearing his jersey. He's playing this game, which is insane. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't understand how this man's playing in this football game, but I'll take it. Honestly, if nothing else, right? Let's say he can't go full go because he hasn't actually practiced for how long or whatever the case may be. If he can just spark this team a little bit on offense, right? Like give us something, whether it's physical run after the catch play for first down or just blocking like he's been so good at in the run game. Like give us something. As long as he's given us some sort of like positive aspect to him, like that's all I'm really looking for. And I'm hoping it can spark a little bit of something in everybody.
Yeah, the thing we talked about in our big preview show was that, this team really lacks explosive plays and the ability to maintain drives. And Ben's not going to be throwing those 97-yard posts to Juju anymore, but Juju can create some maybe not 90-yard plays, but maybe some 20-yard plays, and he's that consistent chain mover. Right. So, like, I'm not saying it's going to fix everything. Obviously he has practiced this week, so he does have a little more, comfort with getting back in the system. But I'm not. Again, I don't think it's. I still don't really think the Steelers are going to win, but this could kind of give them an opportunity to at least make it more interesting than we thought.
That's kind of the thing, right? It's like it's not this huge like revelation, like, oh man, the Steelers are going to be great on offense now or anything like that. Like,
no,
obviously we might have a good day, but it's really hard to say. But I think it does at least make the game more likely to be a little bit more fun to watch, if nothing else.
So. Yeah, I mean, other than that, like most of the injuries are kind of off the table. Dan Moore is playing, Najee Harris is playing, obviously Arthur Maulet's playing. I think the interesting thing was that this getting Juju off IR caused them to cut Corliss Waitman, who we expected to start at punter. And Tomlin gave the explanation that they trust Harvin more as the holder, which I guess.
I mean, fine.
But,
I don't know.
I guess, I mean, in theory, like the thing we talked about is that, this is really the last shot. So like, we shouldn't be punting that much. So, if we are going to have, we should get the guy who's the better holder or whatever, but still weird.
Yeah. I would argue though that, just because you said about like not punting much anyway, if once we cross the 50-yard line, I don't think we should punt the football.
40.
Like unless it's like fourth
once
and 10.
We cross our own 40.
Honestly, maybe, but like unless it's like something stupid like fourth and like 20, like at that point it's like, oh, you're not getting it. But if it's like fourth and manageable anywhere in that area, just go for it. Like honestly, like what are the odds the Chiefs are going to have any harder of a time scoring from the 25 than the 50 at this point?
Yeah,
like realistically. They're not going to be sitting here like, oh, okay, well, now we don't have 75 yards to go. What are we going to do? They can go 75 yards. It's not.
Oh yeah, no question.
This is not the problem. So they have to be hyper aggressive, especially early on, to try to, if they can get a lead in this game and keep it, then you can start to maybe play more strategically. But in the early game, you just have to go throw everything you have at them.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, getting like in the last game time, these two teams met, they didn't have Juju, they didn't have Freiermuth, they didn't have the guys that Ben is most comfortable with, and Deontay had a up and down game. He had the dumb fumble.
That was his kind of like, oh
so
crap, here we go.
And then he went to Ray a ton. So ideally, this pushes Ray down the depth chart, which, I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver. So I don't know how I feel about that, but
yeah, it's. I mean, he is, right. Like, honestly, so I think Ray will still obviously have his role, even if Juju's able to play a significant amount of snaps. But it is nice knowing, like, okay, our third receiver, even though, like you said, he's really our first receiver most of the time. It's nice knowing that we have 4 guys that have actually both one chemistry with Ben at this point, because Ray's gotten a lot better with it for the most part, and also 4 guys we can actually trust a little bit instead of just the 3 we've had. And even Chase, you could argue we can't trust him half the time. So.
Yeah, I mean he's coming off a good game against the Ravens with his jet sweeps and stuff. So I think just have these guys back. I think maybe this was kind of the issue, is that with your limited amount of playmakers, is the number of plays you just are comfortable running is reduced. Now you have all these guys back, and that kind of opens up the playbook a little more, where you can actually do some different things, which is a nice change of pace ideally. There's something that I've seen a lot in the week since this game was kind of decided on as one of the matchups, and that Chiefs are like, oh, like we're making this Big Ben's retirement party, and they seem to think that's some kind of diss.
Yeah, like it's what I don't care, man.
Yeah, it's been a lot of punching down. I'm like, okay, guys, like cool. Like we know you're the better.
It's not that serious, okay?
No,
it's not. Like any Steelers fans who are like, Chiefs are going, like, if they're actually like predicting the Steelers to win, opposed to just saying, like, not basically completely counting them out, they're just doing that because they're fans of the team, right? Like, everyone knows that. I mean, you don't go into a playoff game down double digits in betting for any other reason because you were not as good as the team you're playing. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
And the Steelers have an absolutely terrible point differential. Obviously, this offense has been anemic at best. The defense has had its moments when they've been healthy, and they are healthy now, so we'll see how it goes. But again, this is the most explosive offense in the NFL with the best quarterback in the NFL. I'll say this though, and I mean now the spell is broken, so now I don't know if we'll do it. But I tweeted this out last night saying that basically the home teams during the wild card round have not gone undefeated since the 2016 to 17 playoffs. So that's like 6 or 7 years, which at the time of last night, all of the home teams had won. And now the 49ers are fresh off kind of breaking that streak. So I don't know. The Steelers might not be due for that upset, given what's happened so far. So that's unfortunate.
Still, it's an interesting thing to talk about, though, because it was very close to that streak continuing to be the case with Niners today. But I do want to acknowledge Brandon real quick, so he stops getting upset in the comments over here on Twitch. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't think we don't need to address these.
Yeah, I mean, we got it. But again, to me, like, this game is it's gonna be about possessing the football, being aggressive on especially third downs. Like, don't settle for 3rd and 10 runs like we've seen them do in the past. Don't throw the ball 50 yards downfield on 3rd and 1 if you don't have to. You have to play smart, but also make sure you're actually attacking this defense and not just taking what you can get is normally sound offensive strategy. Don't do that against this team, because that's what they want you to do. They're going to let you take those deep shots if you want them. You have to hit on a few of these. It doesn't matter who it is or who's going down the field. They have to connect on at least 2 or 3 huge plays in this game if they want to win.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, there can't be any of those like dumb giveaways, like the Deontay fumble, like the Ben. I mean, I feel like just how Ben's playing, like, he is due for a very dumb interception at least once in this game. So that you might just kind of have to accept that.
Right.
But like everybody else has to be on the game. Like, there can't be any, dumb Claypool penalties. There are dumb penalties, and then there are penalties that are part of the process of the game. Like, this is gonna be a loud stadium. There might be a false starter too.
Right.
I think they did a decent job of mitigating that last time, but also partially because their offense was just not on the field at all, so it didn't really matter. But you can't have any of those huge penalties that just like either kill a drive or allow the Chiefs to keep moving. So everybody needs to kind of be on their proverbial P's and Q's. I mean, I really don't think they have a shot at winning this game, to be honest. I'll gladly be proven wrong if that does happen, but just based on talent and how these teams have been playing the last few weeks, I just really don't see a case to be made, barring a catastrophic injury to somebody on the Chiefs, that would really give the Steelers a chance.
Yeah, and that's again, that's kind of where we're at right now, just between the roster talent difference. Like, it just isn't. We're just not there with them, and like, it comes down to people will say like any given Sunday and all that, cliche stuff, whatever. The problem with it is realistically, the Steelers would have to play essentially their best possible game under the circumstances they currently live under. And the Chiefs would have to have a really just uncharacteristic dud of a game, like even maybe worse than some of the games we saw early on for this team, right? Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So is that possible? Sure. But I don't think this team is going to like, they're not going to play down to our level. They're not going to dismiss us, even though they've beaten us soundly this past, in the regular season. They're not going to do that. And you could tell by the Reed's comments going into the game about like, oh, they're playing like the number one seed. No, we're not playing like the number one seed right now. But I appreciate the compliment, Andy. But I don't think they're going to allow themselves to play down to us, and that might be enough, honestly, to come out with the win, even if they don't play their best game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to look for the stats because I know they're ridiculous, but
oh yeah,
I'm talking about Tomlin's record as an underdog, at least in the spread, because the Steelers are now the Chiefs are now favored by 12.5. I got them at 13, so that's good.
Solid.
I got the Steelers at plus 13.
Yeah, nice.
But this is from December, so it might have changed a little bit, but Tomlin is 41-23-2 against the spread as an underdog. He's also 29-19-1 as a road underdog in his career. So
that's pretty nuts, yeah.
Especially with a double, and I'm sure if you went into like the double-digit underdog, I mean, granted, that's probably so rare,
especially for this team over the past decade, yeah.
Right, but I would say like for that reason, like bet on the Steelers just because that spread is pretty massive.
It is. It's huge. It's really exactly. It's insane. Exactly. It is an insane spread to bet. I know somebody put apparently 220,000 on us to cover, which I mean, if you have that amount of money to bet, you probably, hopefully, are okay if it doesn't hit. But
yeah.
I don't know if you are, but like, rooting for you, man. Wherever you
are.
It's a tough bet to make, even though it's plus 13. I mean, he got him plus 13, so like it's pretty solid, but still, that's tough.
All right, I think the game's about to start, so we're going to keep going just for now, but we're going to talk about the other games. So, of the games this weekend, where do you want to start?
Man, honestly, just this past game was probably the Niners and Cowboys was probably the most interesting that we've seen. Like, just because the shift from Niners really dominating the Cowboys for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, Jimmy G kind of coming to roost and being the guy that is going to most likely get replaced after this year in San Francisco. And then the defense for the Cowboys making timely plays, but then the penalties kind of just burying them. This was the type of game to me that, like, even though they got back into the game, I don't think McCarthy can come back. I think he holds his back.
That decision after the fake punt to have the special teams unit stay out there for too long and basically cause a delayed game penalty was that alone is a fireable offense. That was, and I understand the process behind it, but you need to have that drilled and ready to go, and your offense needs to know, like, because the offense came out and they were looking to the sideline for a play. If you're going to do this, the offense needs to know the play they're running so they can get out there.
Right. They can't think about it. They have to know, like, okay, we're doing this whole shebang, whatever. Yeah. But this is the play call. If you do there's no problems here.
Yeah, because I think they ended up punting that drive, so it didn't even matter. That was so unbelievable. I mean, for Mike McCarthy, it's pretty believable, but that was incredibly stupid.
His game management and like his ability to like call, like, especially like managing the clock and other stuff, like, it just isn't good enough. It never has been. It's been a big drawback for him his entire career.
No,
and I don't think this team gets any better with him.
He's literally an 8-year-old playing Madden. No, absolutely
not. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, he's done a good job getting, like, helping kind of stabilize the organization after the Garrett situation and all that, but like, they need to move on, whether it's promoting one of the coordinators, whether it's looking outside, whatever the case may be. I do think it's time to move on from him and try to improve this roster with someone else as the coach.
Yeah,
for sure.
I saw a tweet that was something to the effect of, I'm not agreeing with him, but I can see Aaron Rodgers was radicalized. Like McCarthy.
Yeah, I had never really had any problems with him not wanting McCarthy to be there anymore. So it's tough, man. I mean, McCarthy did a great job hiring coaches around him, but that's really all he did particularly great, in my opinion. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, I think that for the Cowboys, like you said, like, the defense made a lot of time to plays. They had a few mistakes here and there, but that'll happen. I think I think there's still something wrong with Dak because he was just missing a lot of throws that were there.
Yeah.
He looked pretty skittish in the pocket. Like then he was able to get some drives to get them close, but just some kind of weird stuff from him. So that might be injury related. I don't really know. But that was odd to kind of end the game.
It's hard to say because like he really turned it on last couple games, just as an individual, at least after having kind of a so-so couple weeks. But yeah, like he just obviously the pressure was pretty impressive by the Niners, especially early on, and like he didn't do himself many favors at times. Definitely, kind of running into plays like the one he
and kind of running backwards from sacks.
Like, but you could tell whether it's injury related, whether it's the the ankle injury situation from that kept him out last year, obviously. Something isn't quite right with him in the pocket, and he was able to make a couple plays with his feet. But he's not the same player he was in terms of like using his feet the way he was before that injury for sure. You could tell that part of his game isn't there as much.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want, we can talk about the early game today. I watched until the Bucks went up 31-0, and then I took the dog out and did other stuff.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, really, the only thing from that game, like, do we think Hurts lasts more than another season with the Eagles as a starter?
I think he does because I think there's still holes in that offense that you can. And again, like this is only his second year in the NFL, really as the starter. If you can get him some more, I mean, the offensive line is very good. If you can get him like another receiving weapon, and he just kind of makes some incremental improvements, I think you can at least give him to the end of that contract. And then so he's got 2 more years, and I think that's very fair. Because
I think that's fair too.
Yeah, because like again, this was his first playoff start against a really good defense that brought everyone is full of veterans.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys back for that game.
Yeah, and their defense just got shredded. So I'm not putting a ton of blame on him for this game. And with that, I'm going to kind of pivot to the night game from Saturday night, where again, I'm not putting a ton of blame on Mac Jones because I think asking any rookie quarterback to contend with, again, the most perfect offensive performance of, except for a few missed extra points.
Literally, the Bills just in every possible way just abused Belichick's defense.
Yes,
it was one of those things where you watch it and you're like, this can't possibly be what I'm watching. It's not even that the Bills are shouldn't be capable of something like this because they have playmakers all over the field. The running game's been getting better. The traditional run game, not just Josh Allen making plays out of nothing. And again, it's not Mac Jones' fault. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be a truly great quarterback. But this is not something anyone should look at him and go, "Nah, this is the reason they lost." Is because of him.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, this means Mac Jones ain't it." I'm like, "Well, this is his first playoff start on the road in a completely frigid environment." As a rookie with an offense that is pretty devoid of speed playmakers. So I'm giving him a break there as well. And the Bills, they do it so many different ways. They ran the ball well, they threw the ball well in different ways.
How did we beat that shots. Football team?
Dude,
how did we beat them? I know it was the first game of the year, but
that is absolutely insane to think about.
It's how did the Jaguars beat them either?
Yeah,
I see that.
Yeah,
too,
Steelers game is starting, so I'm going to be kind of flipping back and forth. That was a false start.
Probably.
Okay. Oh, geez, wow, that guy knocked Najee down. How about that? But yeah, I mean, Micah Hyde made an absolutely incredible play on that interception that kind of turned the game. That was one of the best interceptions I've seen in a while. Just the way he cut that ball off, and people are saying, "Oh, Aguilar's got to turn around." I'm like, Aguilar's running full speed down the field, and he thinks he's wide open. I don't think he even saw Hyde. He's like, "Oh, I'm open. Nobody's coming over. I got this." And was just I got the over shoulder. Yeah, it was a very good throw, and so that's just on Hyde. And then I mentioned this being Mac Jones' first game in cold weather. I want to address him being mystified by his own breath.
That
steam,
was so funny when you,
which is something that again I do to this day, and I've lived my entire life in the North. It is so fun. It's a fun thing to do. I'm a dragon, or I'm.
But it probably didn't look awesome from everyone else's perspective.
No, but
it was.
That game was crazy. Just an absolute blowout. All right, well, Steelers are facing third down here, so 3rd and 10. So I'm imagining they're not going to get it. 2
consecutive runs, really good start, guys. Yeah. Let's do it.
This is about what
as much as I agree that we need to get the ball, we need to get the run game going. Don't if it's 2nd and 8.
This is not. No,
don't do it. Just drop back, try to get a few yards and make 3rd down manageable. We can't be sure that we're going to get 4 or 5 yards in 2nd and 8 at this point. Yeah, exactly. It's not that too.
Oh, here we go. Oh, that's interference.
We're going to get a pass interference.
No, that's uncatchable. But he did grab Johnson, but the ball wasn't catchable. So 3 and out, start the game. Makes sense. Then the other game was the Bengals Raiders, which was a very good game. A lot of the offenses stalled in the red zone, but I enjoyed that game a lot. It was pretty competitive throughout. There's the whole issue over the whistle, which I think is a non-issue. I think
it's a non-issue in the sense that like it didn't affect the actual outcome of that play. We had some discussions internally here around the block.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
It was.
But ultimately, the only thing that counted with that play is the fact that obviously the rule states whatever it states, right?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have changed. Like, it isn't the reason the Bengals scored on that play in terms of like the defender stopped playing or something like that.
And like you can see the defenders slow up, but I think that's because they just thought Burrow was out of bounds and he was like throwing it away. Like, it wasn't because of the whistle.
No, because the whistle didn't come until after that. So it didn't
the whistle was like well after the ball had been thrown. So like, I just don't think that was a big issue. And like, I get it, it's the letter of the law. But again, what I said, and I've seen other people say this, like if they had taken that touchdown off the board, that's much worse. Like if they had,
honestly, that's a worse
because
decision.
that would have been so stupid.
Yeah.
All right, so Chiefs got a good punt return, which of course they did.
I saw that. Of course they did. Yeah.
Good little run to start the drive. So this is going about as we expected, to be honest.
Yeah, so far at least. But
so I did find out I have to work tomorw, so maybe this game will be over quickly. Yeah,
that's no fun.
I'm kind of hoping that because of the big snowstorm we're getting, might close the office. But
I've gotten hit. We've gotten hit pretty hard here. I think I'm at about like 7 or 8 inches so far around here. So
yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I haven't checked the depth of it yet, but yeah. I mean, okay. Okay. We got a tackle for loss. There we go. Nice job.
Tackle for loss.
Oh, yeah, this is good stuff. I
think you're a little bit ahead of me because, of course, every time I try to watch a game, I'm always like 10 seconds behind.
Well, it's funny because I'm even on my Xbox stream, which is going to be behind the regular TV. So once I get over there, I'll be like a minute ahead of you.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, again, I hope they at least keep it close. But I think it'll be good to have the season be over.
Honestly, yeah, I'm just ready to I'm ready to talk about, and we'll make that the focus of the podcast during that time. Like, talk about what this team needs to do.
Nice play, Trey Norwood with the pass deflection.
Oh, perfect. Down. I want him to have a big role in this game. I think that'd be really nice to see him really show up.
Yeah.
So let's see.
But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like I'm excited to get into off-season talk. That's going to be cool to kind of talk about the future of this team.
On Kelsey too, I just saw that play. Jeez.
Yeah. Wow. I feel maybe that's kind of what they're going to go with, which is an interesting decision, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I heard some things about that. I recently wrote something about just the Steelers draft needs in general, but
good block.
If we don't go the veteran route, like a true veteran starter, not just a guy that could compete with Rudolph, I'm not a big fan of it, just because, especially if the opportunity is there. Now, if there's just nobody we can go get for a reasonable price that's going to actually be a true upgrade, then whatever, just sign somebody to compete with Rudolph, maybe draft somebody. But I'm not personally willing. I don't think there's any guys that are going to be available at our pick that would be worth drafting the first round of quarterback right now.
I think Howell might be. And
maybe
I would be interested in that. But I know some people aren't the biggest fans of him, which confused. I mean, this literally. I mean, I've seen people are like, "Oh, Matt Corral's a day 3 talent." I'm like, okay, wow, we're really just going off the rails on everybody in this class. I think you could find everybody saying every quarterback is a surefire first rounder or a day 3 pick. Like, you can find that take anywhere from
there's no consensus happening right now. I'm going to be breaking into Matt Corral probably actually tomorrow at some point. So I'm going to see what I think of him. I expect, just from what I've seen, to kind of be closer to consensus on him, but we'll see. I'm going to do all the quarterbacks just because Steelers have the chance to do that.
Diligence.
So, for sure. But yeah, right now, Howell's interesting. I haven't watched him since his tape in 2020. I didn't love his tape last year, but I didn't hate it either.
You mean in 2021?
Well, I watched his tape. I haven't watched any 2021 tape from him.
So you didn't watch 2020 tape?
No, I didn't very much.
Oh wow, really? I like that a lot.
I just didn't like him as an individual as much. Not that he was a fourth round pick for me.
He's a terrible person.
Like a second round. I think I ended up with a second rounder on him.
Okay, yeah.
In the summer. but like not a first round, because I know you like I'm interested to see if I see a lot of the same things you talked about, because if so, then I also might be very interested in maybe giving him a shot if he's there.
Yeah, I mean, most of the tape I watched was 2020 because that was just what was available, and I was like, that's going to be more what he has at an NFL team. Like he's not
for sure.
Like relative to the talent that he's facing is like he was their offensive line was so bad, and he didn't really have any other. He had one good receiver, so. And I watched like some like broadcast copies because for the quarterback that's easier. But I was like, there's a lot of things to like about this guy. So that's kind of, and I mean, Colbert's been in on him like this whole process. He kind of fits what they want. So that's kind of why I'm interested in that. But I think we're gonna hop off here just so we can focus fully on the game. So thanks everybody.
Start tweeting.
Yeah.
Start tweeting from TV.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you with our recap of however this game ends, which will come out on Tuesday.
All right.